Hi everyone, welcome back. To those new to the channel, please down below like and subscribe. Okay, today's video is going to be focused on getting you guys to make your own stencils and your very own 3D eyes. Alright, so here we have some of the 3D eyes. And making your very own stencils. Okay, so please don't forget to like and subscribe and share, and let's get with it.
Running in the sand, living on the land. The salty breeze was in our eyes. We stood beneath the dragonflies and danced.
We're going to be using two products, one sticker vinyl and two a Polyflex. So what is Polyflex? Polyflex is a high stretchable polyurethane film with matte, sometimes also with high gloss, reflection free surface, and is suitable to transfer onto textiles like cotton. They actually use this a lot in printing the t-shirt decals. Polyflex is also known to be called a heat transfer vinyl, and even sometimes a video flex. This is some of the stock that I have. Above here you can see some of the Polyflex. Down here at the bottom there's a couple of sheets of vinyl mixed in. These are my offcuts. This is Polyflex and vinyl. This one, for instance, is a reflective vinyl. This is a pearl silver Polyflex. This is a few Polyflex examples. This is a white with a glitter speckle in it. This is a Starflex silver. We're going to be cutting a couple of the fish eyes, 3D eyes out of these. You even get patterns like snake pattern, for instance, which we're not actually going to be using. Not for this anyway. Alright, this is some examples of vinyl, say a sticker. This is one example. Okay, you can see it's a high quality film made in Belgium. Okay, it's just like normal sticker. You can see it is quite sticky. This is why I like to use it for 3D eyes. You can see it's rather sticky, so once you peel the eye off and stick it onto your lure, it's self-adhesive. Okay, so here's a couple of examples. This is a normal black. This is a reflective. Okay, so it's got like a metal backing to be reflective. This is just standard red. This is another reflective orange. You can see the reflective properties in it. Some more orangey yellow. You can see I've cut out already. And a silver. This is another reflective blue. Also going to be cutting some eyes out with that. A gold and a black with a speckle. Okay, standard green. Okay, there's one of my lost eyes. Seem to have made its way onto this. So that's what we're going to be making today. 3D eye. Okay, and just white. This is the vinyl cutter that we're going to be using a little bit later on. Alright, this is Microsoft Paint. You can use this Microsoft Paint to do just about anything I'm going to be doing in CorelDRAW. As you can see, these are your settings. Above here you've got your zoom tools. You can zoom in and out. Here you can see the two circles for the eyes I've already drawn, the 9mm and 10mm. Okay, so using Microsoft Paint you can actually do exactly what I'm going to be doing just using CorelDRAW. Alright, this is my CorelDRAW. You can see I've already got a couple of eyes sizes drawn out, but first we're going to be selecting this stencil. Okay, so I'm just going to drag that there. I'm going to remove the actual fill. I just want an outline, so I'll just select it and delete the fill and leave the outline. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to select it and print it, just using a normal printer. Mine's a laser printer. Okay, you can use an inkjet as long as you print it. Just go to properties. I just want to go to graphics, remove darken text, make sure my ink saver is on. Okay, we'll just do a quick preview, and it's in the center of the page more or less, and then we can print it. Right, we're just going to trim this down. Okay, this is the glue I like to use with the paper to make the stencils. Just a glue stick made by Bostik for paper. Okay, hopefully it's zoomed in enough. Okay, I just want to get this film. Okay, this is a file divider, those plastic file dividers. You get them in days of the week or months. This is a pack which I've bought. I use these plastic sheets. Works really well. Okay, so what we're going to do now is just take some of this glue, and I like to use it on this because once it's dry it doesn't stick, so it's easy to remove. Okay, so that's our stencil. Turn it around and just apply some glue on. Like I said, once this glue is dry it actually doesn't stick to this plastic, so you can remove it quite easily. Okay. Alright, close that up. And flip this over and stick it down. Just line it up more or less. Just flatten it out. Right, and we can trim this down. Alright, so what's left to do now is we just follow the outlines and we should have our stencil. Right, and there we have our stencil cut out already. The paper's come off nice and easy. Right, I like to use this curved scissor. It gets around the corners nice and easy, so you get a cleaner bend when you're cutting. That we can throw away. Right, here's your stencil. The plastic is really durable, not going to break, so it's reusable. It's going to last a long time. Right, there's the one stencil, how to make durable stencils. Okay, now we're going to be using the vinyl cutter. So we're just going to stick this down. Okay, so there it goes, stuck down, and we're going to put it into the vinyl cutter. Alright, we just got to line the rollers up, get it to focus. Okay, just lift the rollers and then just slide this in. Okay, I'm using one hand and filming with the other, so I'm probably going to have to put it down sooner or later. Okay, slide this over. Alright, so back to Coral Draw. We're going to select the same stencil. I'm just going to reduce the size because we're going to cut it out on that plastic. We're going to select the cutter. Alright, and there's the cutter router, the program that's going to be sending the information through to the cutter. All of these settings are the same, and you can mirror it if you need to. We don't need to mirror it. Okay, and then we can send it. Alright, let's just have to hang on to it a bit here and just put a bit of pressure on it. Of course, the blade is actually going to come down with quite a force because it has to cut through. We're going to line up the cutting head. It's got a micro blade underneath. You'll be able to see it when I zoom in. And there we go. There's the micro blade. Alright, we just position it to where it's going to start cutting. That should do. There we go. Alright, and just put that online. I just need to reach around. Okay, just keeping pressure on it as that blade cuts through the plastic. Right, that's done. Let's just release the rollers again. Okay, it should be dry enough for the paper to come off. Nice and easy. Right, there we go. And all we have to do now is pop the stencil out. You can see it's cut nicely all the way through. Okay, and there's your stencil. Alright, neat lines. Is a lot easier than cutting it out by hand. Okay, and you can see it's released and no glue residue on your stencil. Okay, back to Coral Draw. Here we have some fish scales which I've drawn. Remember, you can use your Microsoft Paint to do exactly the same. Okay, so I want to zoom in. Okay, these are the fish scales I've designed. I've got two options here, one slightly bigger than the other. You can see there's the design. Okay, so there's both designs, one slightly bigger than the other. We're going to just select both of them and send it through to the cutter. Okay, we are going to be cutting on Polyflex. I've got some pink Polyflex I've had for quite some time. I've had over for a while, so we're going to use that. There's the router, and we're going to send it through to this cutter now. Okay, so there's the pink Polyflex. I just need to set the blade in the correct position. should do. Just want to reach back here and push start. Okay. Alright, this is going to cut for quite a while. It's got a lot of little scales to cut out. So I am going to fast forward while this is cutting. Alright, in Corel Draw I've designed a couple of, or redrawn a couple of fish patterns. I'm going to be cutting these out as well on the pink. I've got quite a lot of pink over, so I might as well utilize it. Okay, there you can see a couple of the designs I've redrawn. We're going to make stencils out of these as well. Next we're going to be doing the weeding. We're going to be using these tweezers. It does help during the weeding process. It's sharpened at the end. So we're going to use these tweezers just to lift one of the edges away from the clear plastic. And you can see it lifting, and we're going to slowly pull the stencil away from the clear backing. There you can start seeing some of the scales coming through. Alright, and there you have your stencil. You can clearly see the scale pattern. And on we'll show you how the scale pattern will look on your lures, the painted effect. Okay, let me finish weeding the rest of the fish patterns that I made earlier. Right, let me show you how the stencil came out. I'll just use this blue as a backing. Alright, so there you can see the three different sizes. Alright, moving on to the 3D eyes. Alright, you can create these 3D eyes like I said earlier, using Microsoft Paint. I'm going to be using Corel Draw. It's just a program more suited to me. Okay, so Corel Draw, whatever you see here, you can do on Microsoft Paint. Alright, here I've already got the sizes that I require for the eyes I want to make today, ranging from a 5 all the way through to a 10 millimeter. So I've selected a couple here, which I'm going to start by printing, because we're going to do these this first bit by hand. Okay, and we're just going to select that and print. Okay, just go to properties. I just want to make sure my toner saver is on. Just put turn a saver on and just send it through to the machine. Just do a quick preview. Make sure it's in the center of the page, that's fine, and we can print. Alright, for those that are not familiar with Microsoft Paint, we can quickly run through a couple of steps here. I like to normally go through these three settings. The last one there we don't really need. Our zoom tool, I like to zoom in quite a bit so that my rulers are a little bit more defined, so that I can give sort of more accurate sizing. Okay, so I like to the rulers to show up and zoom in, and from there it's reasonably easy. You just select your positioning and you can start drawing. If we go back here, you can see you can select your pens and the width of your pen, and then also the colors if you require different colors. And we're going to start with a circle, for instance. We're going to select the area where we want to start. Okay, holding down the left mouse key, we can start drawing the circle. We can position it on the right hand side first to the dimension that you need, and then on the lower dimension, and we should have a perfect circle. Alright, so we can already see that is now our 10 millimeters, so we can just select the writing tool and we can type in our 10 millimeter. Alright, and then obviously the next one that we're going to do is a 9 millimeter. So we're going to repeat those steps. Just select the pen tool and the circle. Color and width can stay the same. We're just going to position the cursor there, and keeping the left mouse button down, we can pull it to the right to where we need it, and then we can focus on the bottom, making it a 9 millimeter circle. Alright, so that's about right there. Right, we can move that over next to the 10 millimeter. Select the text tool, and we can just put in our 9 millimeter there. And so we can run through all the different dimensions that we need, all the way through to 5 if you wish, and you can print it through here. Right, jumping back into Corel Draw, you can see I've actually made slightly different size circles that they can actually fit into the dimensions of the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10 millimeter. This is going to be for the different color pupils that we're going to be using. So we're just going to make sure that the pupils can fit into all those different dimensions. Right, here we have the printout of the circles that we're going to use to cut out our base color of our eyes. Okay, we've got our vinyl. We're going to quickly do some base red. I'm just going to cut this to size. Right, and then we're just going to stick that on the back. Right, I'm just going to use the curved surface again. I'm just going to cut around whatever size I need. Okay, and for the pupil, we're going to use this black vinyl. Just going to cut a small piece off here, and just take two of these smaller circles for the black, which we're going to put into the center. Okay, I've done that really quickly now, but you can actually see the black pupils. You can see it's not really symmetrical or nice and round. I like to use a magnifying light. They really aren't very expensive, and it's a huge help. You can see it got two different magnifications, and whichever one you'd like to use, obviously how much detail you'd like to see, but this really does help. I'm actually going to cut out some new eyes using the magnifier, just to give you a better indication on how you can actually make your eyes some more handmade than using the vinyl cutter. There you can actually see how far you can zoom in. It makes cutting the circles a heck of a lot easier. Okay, I just hope it's focusing. It should be focusing quite easily through the magnifier. Alright, so you can follow the edges a lot easier. Here I'm just showing you, I can't really see, sort of giving the view to the camera, so you guys can see, but you can follow the lines a lot easier. Okay, so I'm going to use the magnifier, and I'm going to just cut maybe some gold. We'll do a gold pupil in the red backing. I think that'll look nice. So we'll take these two smaller ones, and we'll just glue that onto the back of this gold, and use the magnifying glass to cut it out. Alright, just want to position up everything. Alright, so I've actually sped things up here for you, and we've cut out the gold in a pupil already. So there you can see it looks a heck of a lot neater than the other one which I did before this. There's the other part of the gold. Okay, so we're going to resin those up later and compare the difference between hand cut and obviously the machine cut. You'll see there's not a huge difference. Right, here's a quick example of the vinyl which I've cut using the vinyl cutter. I'm going to cut all the different size eyes out, and then we're going to jump through to the weeding process. So I'm going to zoom in here just so that you can actually see the cutting process of the micro blade. Okay, weeding is the process of removing the vinyl or the polyflex that we do not want. Okay, so I'm just going to slowly pull back and just release some of the eyes that actually pull up, and then we'll just speed up the process for you and show you the different types. Okay, just something I want to quickly show you. When using this reflective vinyl, you've got to be very, very careful. It's incredibly brittle. Okay, so that's the reflective orange. Okay, you can actually see on the back here, it's actually says the reflective sheeting. Okay, and now we're going to go into the normal vinyl. It's just that custom film, and this is going to be the black. Okay, and we're going to speed through the process. Okay, now that we've cut all our sizes and our colors out, we can now start placing the pupils inside the base color eyes. So we're going to put these orange ones nice and centered through all the other colors, and we'll build everything up. So I'm going to speed up the process for you guys. Alright, here's a couple of examples of the eyes that I've already got pupils on. It's really limitless. You can do any type of variation. It's purely up to you whether you use 2, 3 or 4 colors. Okay, what I've done here is I've done a small experiment to see which coating is best to use over your eyes. We're going to use a clear top coat against normal resin for fiberglass. So we've got our fiberglass resin, and then the tar bender, which I use to coat the lures. I want to see if this would be a good coating for the 3D eyes. Okay, so we have our tar bender, which worked reasonably well. We only had a problem of it actually running off the edge and only making the meniscus on 2 occasions. That one I just want to move down here because that's actually there by the clear coat. Okay, so you can see it's run off the edge. It's made a meniscus, but it's very difficult. It tends to break that meniscus very easily. It also takes 16 hours to dry. So it's not ideal, but it does work. Okay, so if we compare that one to the fiberglass resin, you can see each one has actually stayed within the meniscus. It hasn't broken. It's formed a nice oval, as you can see, nice round edge. So fiberglass, and it literally takes 5 to 10 minutes to dry. The clear coat, unfortunately, as it dries, it makes this indentation, and because it is quite thick, it stays this milky color, which is not suitable. Okay, the top 2 is just the other 2 experiments I did of the tar bender. Okay, you can see that one didn't break the meniscus, but that's unfortunately doesn't happen very often. Okay, so we're going to stick to the fiberglass resin. Here's a couple of examples of the eyes which we've already put pupils on. There you can see some of the 2, 3 and 4 color. There's the 3 color, one of the 3 color, just normal 2 color. You can see the different variations. It's totally limitless to whatever you would like to create. You can go crazy and create some really elaborate eyes. Okay, so we have quite a lot of eyes still to make. Okay, we're going to mix up some resin. Because it dries within 5 minutes, we don't want to mix up too much, so I'm going to mix up 1 ml, which is 3 grams. So I'm just going to scoop up some resin here and place it on this micro scale. So we're just going to need 3 grams. A little bit more. Another 2 drops should do. 1 drop. Okay, so we got our 3 grams. There we go. Alright, that's only going to require 1 drop of catalyst. Okay, moving on to the final step. We're going to be using this skewer, the wooden skewer. It's got a nice sharpened point so that we can actually pick up a drop or 2 of the resin and place it on the eye. So now we need to form a meniscus and try not to break the meniscus, otherwise it's going to run off the actual eye. So we need to make a nice round eye. So we're just going to be picking up drops and then running around the edge with the stick, using the sharp end of the point to just push the resin to the edge. And then once it's on the edge, you can just pick up a couple of drops and just drop it in the center to build up the meniscus, giving the eye a nice 3D effect. Alright, I'm going to try and also zoom in on a couple of these so that you can actually see how we've done it. There you can see the sharp end of the stick just breaking the meniscus right through to the edge. Being careful not to go right off the actual eye, because that will result in the resin running off the eye onto the rest of the page. I like to use the magnifying light while doing this. It makes it a lot easier. There you can see I've just gone off. I'm just going to pick it up quickly before it runs. These small eyes are reasonably difficult because it just requires 1 drop, sometimes even less. Right, here's the final result. You can see the resin has dried into a nice meniscus, giving it that nice 3D effect. Right, so that's how you can make your own 3D eyes. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and share. Thank you everyone.